The book I published last year is called Arcadian America, and the subtitle is The Death and Life of an Environmental Tradition. And it's a book about both nature and death. It started out being more about nature. As I got deeper into the project, I realized it was just as much about death and also about denial. A big part of my argument, it turned out, was that people in the 19th century United States had more interesting and useful ideas about the environment, in part because they had a more healthy culture surrounding mortality. And then, as time went on, for various reasons, which I try to suggest in the book, the culture surrounding death became one that was much more inflected by denial. And so I felt like the denial surrounding death was closely connected to the denial surrounding difficult environmental issues. Most saliently today, climate change, but it's been going on for a long time with things like deforestation, toxic pollution, all kinds of different environmental issues. So once I worked out that a lot of my project was going to be about denial, I thought I better look at my own denial. And in fact, it didn't really seem valid to write a book criticizing our culture of denial without implicating myself in that culture and really taking a close look at the ways in which I struggled, I think like many people, to address the difficult issues surrounding illness and aging and dying in our culture. Writing in the first person really opens up the historian's deeply personal connection to the topic, which is something that is good for readers. It's good for making a connection to people who are interested in the topic. There are many possible ways of writing about difficult topics. And I do think that some people find a certain amount of comfort in treating them with a kind of classically neutral or blank tonality. But there are many other options, and right now the interesting developments to me in literary studies dealing with affect are that they actually are bringing in more and more personal experience to get at the sort of inner life of historical subjects. So again, starting with the cost of writing in the first person, just because it's usually not done in historical writing, it can be very jarring to people. And some of it just has to do with taste or a sense of decorum. Some of it, I think, is just genre expectation, because people are used to reading history in a certain kind of mode. It's just surprising and disorienting. The actual articles that get published are not pushing the field very far, because the arguments there have been so watered down, so certified by others, that, to my mind anyway, a certain amount of the intellectual excitement goes out of them. I found that people in graduate school in particular are really looking for new alternative ways of writing history, maybe just because they're bored with all of the history reading that they have to do, which is all written according to a template, not all, but much of it. I think ultimately, in a nutshell, what I'm interested in is having history be something that can be impressively intellectual, but also moving on an emotional and personal level as well.